this is John from FlatCatGear, and giving an update on the DIY stove for HX pots. So we released a prototype pattern for you to make on your own, and in thinking about it, we realized that this may be a little bit more difficult than some people are ready to tackle. And the reason being, this is stainless steel. It's got some detailed cuts on it, and I realize that a lot of people don't have those kind of tools at home. So we did another version of a DIY plate, and I'll show that to you. Almost all drilled holes, pretty straightforward. It's made out of aluminum, and aluminum is a lot easier to work with than stainless steel. Now, this plate, it did have to be cut down, but I bought this aluminum plate on eBay, and it was $2. It was a 4-inch diameter aluminum plate that was a 1/16 of an inch thick. $2 and some shipping. And then what we're doing, instead of folding tabs, and I'll show you some details, I put some studs in here, but you can use pop rivets or even screw threads to make stands. Now, we really think this is a DIY project because this isn't too bad to do. However, we did decide that we're going to make up a batch of these and put them up on our website. Unfortunately, it's not going to be dirt cheap because just for the raw material and just to reserve the machining, it's like $250. So it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of $25 for this plate. That's why I really encourage you to make one on your own. If you've got the time and skills, that'd be great. But if not, we're going to make some available on our website. So I've had a discussion with a number of people, and one of the questions came up was, you know, we do wind tunnel testing, and the statement is, well, isn't, you know, 2 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour low? And our answer is it really isn't. And I'll give you a couple of reasons for that. Number one, it's a sustained wind, constantly blowing, number one. Number two is if you take a look at the physical environment where you're at, you know, you should be putting your stove on the ground. And theoretically, you know, if you look at the physics of it, the wind speed at ground level is 0. Now, the difference between the wind speed at chest height and the ground could actually be, it could be 1/3 to 1/4, a lot lower. So even though you're sensing wind up here, it's not the same wind that you have down below. The second thing is consistency of testing. So I did a video today where I went outside in the actual wind, and I'll show you why there's some problems with that. Is a lot of people talk about how their stoves perform in the wind, and I'm going to tell you something. If you're not measuring the speed of the wind, you don't know what you're talking about. So to really do it right, you've got to have at least an anemometer to go measure the wind speed. And this one will tell me the average and peak speed. Now, it also gets a little tricky because this is a unidirectional, so it'll measure whatever direction I'm pointing. And so sometimes the wind will gust and it'll come in from the side. It actually won't read that. So even with an anemometer, taking measurements outside is difficult. And that's why to get consistent, repeatable results, you know, it's better to go off to a wind tunnel. Easy day today. You can see I've got my anemometer set up. And one of the reasons why it's so difficult to test outside is you take a look, the average wind speed is 3.6 with a peak wind speed of 10.5 miles an hour. Okay, I got my free water. Okay, we got full boil going. It's been about 8 minutes. So the results came back pretty good. If you take a look at the wind conditions outside, when I was doing testing, the average wind speed was 3.6 miles an hour, and we had gusts at 10.5 miles an hour. Now, where I do the testing is on my deck outside my house, and that's about 20 feet off the ground. So you're getting an awful lot of wind. Now, you know, what you do when you go backpacking is you need to be prudent. Number one, put the stove on the ground. If you can find some wind shelter, go behind a rock or a tree or something like that. Even though people talk about wind screens and windproof, it's only going to partially get you there. It can't do it all on its own. So you have to be smart and prudent about it. We think the results are actually pretty encouraging. Take a look at it. We were able to boil 2 cups of water using 10 grams of fuel. Now, again, that's higher than what we had in the wind tunnel. However, there's also much more extreme conditions. Again, peak speeds up to 10.5 miles an hour. But still, using this burner plate with an HX pot is, our opinion, is still very impressive. One thing you should know while we were setting up the test, before we even got everything going, we were testing everything out. We got some gust of winds that actually blew the stove out. So they were probably in the over 10 miles an hour to 15 mile an hour gusts. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, they're going to help you out a lot, but you have to pay attention and be prudent where you put it, and also pay attention to how the stove is operating. Like I said, at the end of this video, I have the new pattern up for you to copy and use. We hope you make it a DIY project, but if not, we should have some of our plates done in about a month and a half from now. So come visit us at www.FlatCatGear.com.